So here are the short story research paper information, instructions, and topic suggestions. This is the only thing you'll be working on from now until the end of the semester, which is going to be coming very quickly, next week. And so you want to be sure to follow the steps and pay close attention to the due dates. So first, you want to watch the video posted on Blackboard that explains how to research the TCC library databases for literary criticism about the short stories you have read. And this is where I want you to find your critical articles. You cannot just search the internet because those sources are often not credible. And then even though you say, oh yes, I have found a credible source, it's from an EDU source, it's from some other source that I'm sure is credible. Nevertheless, if you go out just on the internet to find these, that they will not help you to cite it correctly using MLA format. Whereas if you use the library databases, they contain the citation tools, and you can choose MLA 8th edition, and you can copy and paste that information into your document. So use the library databases. And if you're having a hard time finding articles about your topic, please just ask either me or a librarian for help. Terry Rogers is the librarian who created the video that you're going to see, and I think the first thing she talks about is how you would ask for help. There's multiple ways to do that. So don't get frustrated, right? Don't search and say, I can't find anything. Instead, reach out and get some help. And then please don't wait until the assignment is due to watch the video and start searching. It does take some time to find the articles that will work for you for this paper. And then remember that timely communication is a key. Let me know about any questions or problems you're having as soon as you can. The second step, so after you find at least 4 credible sources, right, somewhat of a source that has been written by a literary critic, you will create your thesis statement and a list of your sources in MLA format and email it to me as an attachment. Be sure to look at the sample thesis statement and sources I have posted before you submit it. And I want to let you know in advance that the sample thesis statement and sources are for a drama research paper because that is what I usually ask students to write. But don't be put off by that. Know that the format is going to be the same, the MLA format, and that's what I'm wanting you to look at. So this assignment is due by 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, July the 28th. The third step, after I approve your thesis statement and sources, you can create the outline for your research paper using the template that is posted on Blackboard. So you have to use this template or I'm going to send it back to you and tell you to do it again. So be sure that you keep the bulleted points like I asked, and do it in Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced. Follow that template. You will submit your outline to me as an attachment by 11:59 p.m. on Thursday, July the 30th. And very important to remember, you must turn in an outline for the final draft of your essay to be accepted. Fourth, after I grade your outline, you'll use it to create the rough draft of your research paper. Now, if I don't get your outline graded as swiftly as you would like, and you're worried about getting your draft completed so that you can submit it by Saturday, you can go ahead and work on your draft. And then for your final draft, you can incorporate any, corrections or suggestions that I have made that are, important enough for you to put in that final draft. Also importantly, the rough draft must be 3 full pages plus the works cited page. But it could be longer if you want to go ahead and feel like your paper is complete when you send in your rough draft. That's fine. Because the final draft must be 4 full pages plus the works cited page. You want to submit the rough draft on the discussion board on Blackboard by 11:59 p.m. on Saturday, August the 1st. And as is always true, if you want 5 extra points on the final draft, you can also submit your draft to the Academic Learning Center or Tutor 24/7. After the drafts are submitted on the discussion board, I will assign each student a rough draft to peer review, and the peer review questions are in the discussion board folder. The 5th step is to complete a thorough peer review for one paper as instructed by Monday, August the 3rd by 11:59 p.m. The 6th and final step, you'll submit the final draft of your essay by 11:59 p.m. on Tuesday, August 4th on Blackboard. So that should be 4 full pages plus the works cited page. No assignments will be accepted after Tuesday. Now, always I should kind of have a little exception here. You know, you might have some problems uploading your paper onto Blackboard, and I can understand that. You know, anything else that might happen, you would let me know. You know, if you've gone through this process and I know you're doing the work, you know, I'm not saying that I can't accept something a little bit later, but I have to have time to grade your papers. You know, so I can't have everybody giving it to me on, you know, Wednesday in the evening, because I have to get them graded because final grades are due. Right, so keep that in mind. I don't want to accept papers that are late, but if something happens unexpected, you run into a serious problem, please let me know, and then I will work with you on that. Okay, so just for the basic assignment instructions. For this assignment, you'll write a 5 to 7 page research paper on a topic of your choice pertaining to one or more of the stories on the syllabus after getting my approval on said topic. The minimum length again, though, is 4 full pages. The 5th page will be the works cited page if you choose to write a minimum length paper. In this paper, you have to make a claim and support that claim with examples from the text, critical opinions, and logical reasoning. Remember that this is an argument paper, so your claim or thesis must be arguable. Of course, you have to follow MLA format, and you have to have a minimum of 4 secondary sources, but the more you have, the more credible your argument will be. So if you find 5 or 6 good sources that you can incorporate into your paper, that would be excellent. You don't have to, however. 4 is what you have to have. All of your sources must be credible literary criticism from our library databases. You may not use Wikipedia, SparkNotes, Shmoop, or any of the sources that are meant to be helpful study guides, not literary criticism. The most important thing to keep in mind is that for this assignment, a credible source will have an author, right? Not just an editor. Right? If there's an editor but there's no author, that is not what I'm wanting you to use in your paper. If you, again, need help, ask for help. Also, remember that the story or stories you choose to write about are primary sources, not secondary sources. So if you choose to write a paper about the symbolism of nature in the red convertible and Greasy Lake, you would need to cite both of the stories and 4 more critical sources in the body of your research paper and on the works cited page. Many times students will cite the primary text, whether it's a play or whether it's a story, in the body of their paper, then they leave it off the works cited page. But you have to have all the critical sources and your primary sources, your stories in this case, on in your paper in the works cited page. Additionally, a weak claim, I say here, it cannot be the claim that nature is important in the red convertible and Greasy Lake, because that is not arguable. Well, it does make a weak argument, because anyone who read the stories would have a hard time saying, no, right, that's not important. But of course you could write a paper supporting that nature is important. However, you're not thinking about the so what, the why, right? Who cares? Much better would be to talk about the use of nature, right? Why the authors use nature the way they do, or what purpose do you think it serves? So, for example, Erdrich and Boyle clearly use nature to reflect the feelings of the characters and how these feelings change as each story progresses. So that way, right, you're talking about that nature is important, but why it's important. What does it show about the characters here? Of course, you don't have to write about more than one story, but choosing a topic that applies to more than one story can make it easier to find multiple sources to support your thesis and to meet the length requirement of the assignment. So here are just some topic suggestions that I have just thought up kind of off the top of my head. But of course, I want you to think of your own paper topic. But if you're not sure, here are some possibilities. Just remember that you cannot write about one of the same topics you've already written about in your short argument papers. You can write about one of the same stories, but you have to think about a different perspective on it. You have to think about something else. So here are just some possibilities. Again, they're very general. But the meaning of friendship in Brownies, and are. This is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. Guilt, Babylon Revisited, and are two kinds. Isolation in A Rose for Emily, and are Woman Hollering Creek. Identity formation in Two Kinds, and are Brownies. Cultural expectations for women in A Rose for Emily, and are Woman Hollering Creek. The significance of the scenes from the past, and this is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. How mistakes in the past influence the present in Babylon Revisited. Racism in Brownies, or the negative effects of racism in Brownies, or the negative effects of racism in The Red Convertible. This is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. The significance of the circular journey taken by the main characters in Woman Hollering Creek, Babylon Revisited, and are, this is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. The significance of the parent-child relationship in Babylon Revisited, and are Two Kinds. The purpose of humor in Greasy Lake, and are Two Kinds. The symbolism of cars in The Red Convertible, and are Greasy Lake. Mexican culture in Woman Hollering Creek, or maybe the comparison of a Mexican to American culture. He thought that was significance. The same with Native American culture in The Red Convertible. This is what it means to say Phoenix, Arizona. Chinese culture, or kind of Chinese culture versus American culture in Two Kinds. Just writing about black culture and how that is developed in Brownies. But there are, of course, many other topics to research and write about. I want you to find one that you are interested in.